tell me when to start. Good morning. Welcome to Unity Burbank's Center for Spiritual Awareness. Thank you for joining us this morning. So I'm Christine Johnson, and I am going to be joined by Bob Hebert, who is the president of our board. And we're doing something a little different this morning. I think you know why. Bob, do you want to tell them what we're doing?
Good morning, Christine. Good morning, everybody. Yes, we are going to continue on with our live streaming, our services right now, and we are going to allow you to enjoy just a few pearls of wisdom. Christine has some copious notes in that. So hopefully we can keep this light and keep this in the spirit that it's meant to be and to come to you from us to you. So please settle in.
That's right. And we will have an exciting announcement to make about next week, the way we're going to do the service. So I look forward to sharing that information with you. You know, the Dalai Lama wrote that if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. So let's begin our service as we always do with an opening prayer. Dear Mother, Father God, compassion asks us to go where it hurts, to enter into the places of pain, to share brokenness, fear, confusion, and anguish. Compassion challenges us to cry out with those in misery, to mourn with those who are lonely, to weep with those in tears. Compassion requires us to be weak with the weak, vulnerable with the vulnerable, and powerless with the powerless. Compassion means full immersion in the condition of being human. And we bless this service as we bless every service every Sunday, whether it takes place in a temple, synagogue, mosque, or church, with the abiding principles, the love, the light, the joy, the abundance. That is God's, and so it is. Those are interesting words, aren't they?
I enjoy that. Just the idea of compassion. I believe that we're actually being shown what compassion truly is in our own life. I think a couple weeks ago we heard about self-compassion, and I feel like I have been practicing that, just understanding, oh, I never had time to do this, I never had time to do that, and here I have all this time, and I've got some of the cleanest closets at home.
Come to my house when you're done.
I have some of the cleanest junk drawers and that sort of thing. And yesterday I managed to even get in a little bit of gardening, which was really great to get outside after all the rain and the cold. It was a beautiful day. So I really feel like we're being given an opportunity to self-care.
I think you're right, Bob. And I mean, let Bob's words sink in, and also the end line of that opening prayer by Henri Nouwen, who was a spiritual writer, a priest, and a New Thought think leader. Compassion means full immersion in the condition of being human. And this morning I was thinking it was almost like that line in A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. I mean, we have on one hand gun sales and ammo is up. And then on the other hand, we have neighbors using social media to check in on each other. If you're an older person or have a compromised system and you need someone to pick up groceries for you, I'll do it. And I saw one about, I'm homeschooling my child already. If you need some ideas to how to keep your child occupied, please reach out to me. So I have to ask myself, what's the difference between those two extremes? And for me, I think it comes down to this idea of faith. And it's faith not only losing faith in God, but losing faith in others. We forget that everybody out there, the people reaching for that last roll of toilet paper, I still haven't quite figured out the whole toilet paper, but we forget that they are divine expressions of God showing up in the world. And speaking to the self-care that you raised, we also lose faith, I think, sometimes in ourselves. We forget that we are the glory of God showing up here. So I think that practicing self-care is definitely important. I think also being aware as we move through these stores, standing in line sometimes to get in, to get whatever we need, that we remember everybody around us is a brother or sister experiencing the same issue. I found a kind of a letter, poem letter, that was written by Jim Moore. Jim Moore lives right here in Burbank, and it's called the Dear Pandemic Letter. Dear Pandemic, you're back, but this time it's different. You came in 1918 as the Spanish flu, infected 1/3 of us and killed over 50 million of us. Then you vanished as fast as you came. You returned in 1957 as the Asian flu and killed 2 million of us, and then you were gone. You appeared again in 2009 as H1N1, the swine flu. You infected 1/4 of us, and 200,000 of us died, less than the deaths each year from the common flu. And here you are again today. Each time we call you a pandemic, each time we panic, each time you kill far less of us, but we panic far more. Because you are not a pandemic of death or even disease. You are a pandemic of fear. In 2009, that fear showed up in our media, in our stock markets, and in our everyday lives, and you have given us that same big fright today. But you've been here enough times that this time is different. This time we see you for who you really are, a global ghost of our worries, anxieties, and deepest fears. And with any ghost, you can only grow if we feed you. And if we don't, you disappear. So this time, instead of fear, we choose freedom. Instead of panic, we choose peace. Instead of loss, we choose love. So let's turn viral fright to viral fight. Wash your hands. Calm your mind. Pandemic, thank you for visiting. We appreciate the reminder. You can go now with love. I just thought that was so interesting because it really does center in on fear in a way.
I'm just allowing that to sink in because it's so poignant. And I was thinking the word pandemic, I think we're saying it wrong. I think it should be pandemic. And not to make light of it, but to actually take the power away from it. Because I think when all the fear and anxiety takes over and people make a mad rush to clear off all the shelves, not leaving anything for the person, that to me is lack of compassion.
Yes.
And I think it's a good reminder that if there's 2 packages of meat and you only need 1, just take 1.
Right. Right.
Allow it to sit there for somebody else that may need to feed a family of 10 on maybe just a few pieces of meat.
Right.
You know, that sort of thing. We don't have to do this. We don't have to succumb to the fear and panic that society would have us do.
No, I think you're right. My husband ran into one of our neighbors yesterday, and the neighbor had stopped by his parents' house to get a gun because he wanted to be ready when the blank hits the fan.
Right.
And Johnny, that's my husband, and I were both shaking our heads, and it's this idea of why go to the absolute worst case scenario? Why project your own? Because that's what it is. You're projecting your own fear out there in the world, and you're affecting your parents, He's affecting, he has a wife, he has 2 small children. That becomes an infection in itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think what now I'd like to do, Bob, is to do a little meditation.
Sure.
That's okay. So, Bob and the board got us this wonderful little book called Fasting and Feasting 2020. And I think you can probably still get it. I don't know if you have any copies here, but
Yes, we have a few copies in the back.
so you can probably also go to unity.org and order it if you so desire.
Actually, if you call unity.org, you can actually get the book for free.
Ah, there you go. And it kind of takes us through to Easter. It's about the 40 days from Ash Wednesday. And what's really neat about this is it has a little writing or meditation for every day leading in. And this one for Sunday, March 22nd, comes from Eric Butterworth, one of our wonderful leaders. So let's get settled into our chairs, if you will. If you're watching us at home, put down that cup of tea or coffee. Let's get our feet grounded. I always like to say, let's connect to Gaia, Mother Earth. Feel her power. If it feels comfortable, we invite you to put your hands in your lap, open in the receiving mode. And close your eyes if it feels comfortable, or soften them so we can all be receptive. And let's start by taking in a breath of God's love, light, joy, peace, harmony, abundance. And we breathe out anything other than that. And one more cleansing breath in of God's purity, love, joy, compassion. And we breathe out anything that perhaps has been tapping us on the shoulder, wanting our attention, diverting us from our divine path. And as we start our meditation, we always remind ourselves that it is not I, but the Christ within who does the work. So let's just take a breath and listen to these beautiful words by Reverend Eric Butterworth. You are not a helpless creature bobbing about like a cork on the sea of life. You are the very self-livingness of God. When you desire spiritual growth, it is God who first desires it in you. When you make an extra effort in your work, it is the divine urge in you that is working through you. You are not simply a subject of God, with God making notations of sin and error, or good and righteousness. You are the activity of God in expression, beloved, with an everlasting love. Grace as the divine favor, the activity of God's love is working for you constantly. It is not dependent upon any special faith or prayer on your part. You do not have to earn grace. It is not something that comes only to the good. It comes to all alike simply because all alike are expressions of God. Grace is simply an explanation of a wonderful facet of the activity of God in you. It is not something to work for, to develop. It simply is. It is an assurance. It is an explanation of why things are never quite hopeless and why we never quite reap the full harvest of the error we sow, and why we always receive a little more good than we sow. We always receive a little bit more good than we sow. We are not a helpless creature bobbing about like a cork on the sea of life. Let us take that thought. Let's go into the silence for a bit. activity of God in expression with an everlasting love. So we invite you to take those words with you as we move through this next week, facing the challenges that we're facing. Let's just affirm that God by saying hallelujah. Hallelujah. And so it is. So let me reach down here and grab my notes. Did you have something you wanted to say about that?
Yes, meditation always is a good thing for me, and I believe we're being given this time again. We're giving all the things that say, oh, I never had time for this, I never had time for that. Now it's like, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have. Now you have time. Wait, now I have time, and that's the thing. This is about gratitude, and I got this on the internet. I like to look at some of the more positive things that come across the internet, and I like to also put across a lot of positive things on the internet. It says, okay, but honestly, how privileged are we that during a global pandemic, we can just stay warm at home, reading, working, still being educated, creating with little worries, and a fridge stocked with food. Do remind yourself to be grateful today. I'm totally grateful.
Yeah, that's good. Those are beautiful words. You know, I heard a psychologist talking, and he was saying, people say, oh, times like this make heroes. And he said, that's not really true. But times like this, too, is really reveal who you really are. And so as we move through these next few weeks, and as Bob told me earlier this morning, this is uncharted waters, we're not quite sure. Let's remember as we peel away to reveal who we truly are, which is a divine child of God. I'm going to, Bob, ask you to bring forward the prayer request box, if you could at this time. And, you know, if you're watching online, obviously, would like to send in a prayer request, you can certainly do so. You can just send it to unityburbank.org, and what will happen is you can put prayer request in the subject line. It is kept strictly confidential. We pray on these for 30 days here, and then we will send them on to Silent Unity, where they're prayed on for another 30 days. You know, we often talk about unity using affirmative prayer, and I'm not sure anybody quite knows what that means all the time. And so what it means for us is rather than begging or beseeching God to give us something, God, give me a job, God, give me a good relationship. It's more that we connect with the Spirit of God within, and we assert positive statements. God, I know the right job is on its way to me. I know the right relationship is on its way to me. So, and this is, I thought, interesting, is the same method of prayer Jesus taught when he said, so I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. And that was from Mark. A second. So now I'm going to ask all of you at home to do, you know what we do here, we rub our hands together. So now the distance is a little bit further in miles, but it's still here with heart and love. So I'm going to ask you to rub your hands together as we bless this prayer box. And we say, in the midst of pain, we affirm healing. In the midst of broken hearts, we affirm love. In the midst of fear, we affirm peace. For God is a presence of peace that knows bounds. We know when you knock, the door will be answered, and we see these prayer requests already being healed and whole, and so it is. Bob, I think you can probably just put that there. So this is obviously going to be a little shorter of a service, because what we're moving now into is, I'd like to move into the offering part. Now, those of you who are watching online, you know that we welcome your gifts, and you've been very generous, and we truly, truly do appreciate that. And if you haven't, or this is the first time you're watching us online because of the circumstances, you can certainly go to unityburbank.org. That's our homepage. There's a little donate button there. You can press on that donate button, and it will come through to us. If you feel more comfortable dropping off a check, you know where we are, do that. Or you can mail in a check. Again, you can find our address. It's a very easy one to remember, 637 South Victory, Burbank, 91502, I believe is the zip code, so you can do that. But I want to thank you especially at this time of all of us having some need. We thank you for continuing to support us. So, I should have had you get the plate.
Oh, we can dispense with that.
Okay, well, where is my check? Oh dear. Oh, here it is, okay. So, let's take your offering in your hand, and as we say, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I'm passing this over to you, Mr. President. Blessing that.
I will put it with the others that have come in during the week. It's been really wonderful how our congregation supports us even when they're not able to be here, because they want to ensure that this place is still standing when they are allowed to come back.
Well, you know what ends up happening, I think, is we're not top line awareness right at the top. You know, it's like, oh, I've got my kids, I've got my spouse, I've got my work, what am I going to do? And somehow we get chipped down to the very bottom. So it's really lovely that people are remembering us and are feeling a commitment to us, the same commitment that we feel to you. So we appreciate that.
I've had a few texts over the last week. Well, can we still donate? Can we still give our offering? And I said, absolutely. And I tell them the many ways like you just described. And they're so grateful that they're still able to be part of this congregation from a distance.
Yeah, it's something bigger. I mean, I think we all live for something bigger than ourselves. And that's what our spiritual home does give us.
Absolutely. And for me, I'm just so grateful to get those texts and those calls. And when I'm feeling a little depressed and more feeling sorry for myself, I want to do this, I want to do that, I start making doing texting to see, just to check on people, and also calling family back east, and that to me again aligns itself with the compassion, gets me out of myself and gets me more into more of a community spirit and more family.
And you've been doing a great job on that, I wanted to tell you. I know we do have a number of senior members, and some of our senior members live by themselves. We try to make it easy when we have our membership cards to have people put in a contact person for them if they do live by themselves. But I know you've been busy calling some of our senior members, making sure that they are okay.
And they're all hunkering, and they're just like, okay, we've been through this before. It was an interesting thing. One of them told me, it's like, well, you know, your grandparents were called to war.
Right.
You're just called to sit on your couch. Just do it and be happy. Get your movies out. Get your do the things that you didn't have time to do, and that's kind of what sparked me to clean closets and do all the things. It's like, well, the pearls of wisdom, you know, are there.
Right.
So.
You know, if you are feeling alone out there and you would like to have someone call you just to check in on you, I'm going to suggest, and I think this will be okay with the board, if we have someone, you can send an email to us at unityburbank.org with your name and a phone number, and you can call our number here, 818-841-4037. I think that's it. And you will more than likely get the machine because Sue, our wonderful office administrator, is working from home, but we can pick up messages, and we will make sure that someone from either the board or the prayer circle calls you back just to maintain contact with you. That doesn't matter where you are when you're watching us, because we have people watching all over the United States.
Yes, and I'll be checking the answering machine on a regular basis. So.
I wanted to say a brief blessing over the offering, and And thank you again, all of you who are participating this morning. This is from Lei Zhao, who was a Chinese philosopher. And he said, kindness in words creates confidence, kindness in thinking creates profoundness, and kindness in giving creates love. And that's not just financial giving, that's, as Bob has said, giving of yourself, being available to the neighbors. Perhaps the older person that you know is living alone and you haven't seen for a few days. You know, a phone call to make sure that they are okay, or the mom, maybe with the single mom with the children. So let's just, you know, last week I was platform assistant, and I had said a line by Mother Teresa, which is, if we don't have peace, it's because we forget we all belong to each other. So let's not forget that we belong to each other.
Absolutely.
As we start to wrap up, I want us to remember that it's easy to feel overwhelmed. And there's a term that I've heard recently, which is compassion collapse. Let us try to avoid compassion collapse. And that really is, it's a feeling of jadedness mixed with helplessness, and it's our reaction to the enormity of the situation. So instead, let us practice the power of compassion. As we wrap up, this is our last Sunday in March. That has been our theme for the month. A power that can and will change the world when we exercise it consciously and intentionally. And that begins with loving and honoring ourselves, as you have spoken about, Bob, and not allowing stress we may feel to affect our health and our well-being, for we know with God all is possible, and we are one with the one. We are one with one.
With one little correction, we do have one more Sunday in March.
We do? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
So,
that's right, this is a 5 Sunday.
yes,
this is a 5 Sunday.
We're in a 5 Sunday month, so
And
it's always very lucrative for the church too.
Darn, I didn't proofread my copy good enough. But you know, this is a good opportunity to kind of segue into what is going to happen our last Sunday.
Absolutely, yes.
So, what we are going to do, Dr. Nicole Elliott, those of you who have seen her in person or online know what a wonderful speaker she is. She was our minister here for a number of years, and she's absolutely fabulous. Anyway, she called us the other day and said she wanted to find a way to participate. And so what we're going to do is, through Zoom next week, we are going to do a service that Dr. Nikki is going to lead us through. She will be at her home. Now, I had never heard about Zoom, so Bob had, but I'd never heard about it. It's so easy. If you just go to zoom.com, it took me less than 2 minutes to download it. And what will happen is next week we'll all see each other's faces, and we will see Dr. Nikki as she takes us through a service. Well, what will happen during the course of the week is more information will be coming. Sue and Bob will put together an email that tells you exactly what link to click on, and you will be connected to us. And it's as close as we can bring you to together to a hug and a handshake and a kiss on the cheek as we do this. So please, we're very excited. We're so thankful that Dr. Nikki has offered to do this for us. So please go to zoom.com, click on it, download it, and we will look forward to sharing that with you next week. We're coming up to the end of our little service today, because I have pieces of paper all over the place. And you know, we always end, as we do, with the prayer for protection.
Yes.
Which was by James
Dylan
Freeman. Thank you very much. And it's one of those things where we sing it every week, but I wasn't really aware of how it came to be. And so I found it, and I thought it would be interesting to share it with you before we end our service by saying it. And what happened is, during World War II, lots of people were writing into Unity and calling Unity and saying, we need a prayer for protection for these times that we are in. And so James started to work on a pamphlet, and he ended it with the words, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, which is, of course, Psalm 23. And he was very proud that he had done it. He figured it was perfect. And then one of the young women who was working with him came into his office and she said, "Jim, really? If I were a woman living in England and bombs were dropping on my roof, or I was a young soldier on the Western Front with someone pointing a loaded gun at me, I wouldn't want to feel like I was walking through the valley of the shadow of death. Can't you do any better than that?" And Jim kind of went, "Oh my gosh, you want me to do better than the 23rd Psalm? You have to be out of your mind." But he started to roll it around in the back of his mind and to think on it. And it brought him back to a little prayer that he had written actually around Christmas time. And he decided to make some adjustments for it. He didn't want it to rhyme. He wanted it to be more straightforward. And originally in the Christmas one, it had Christ in it because it was Christmas. And he wanted it to be God because it was going to be sent around the world, and including to people who may not hold the Christ consciousness, may have a different belief system. So he thought God might be a little bit more acceptable to more people. And so his little prayer became, "The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over me." And that's the way that it was first printed. But then after it was printed, a line came to him that would make the poem even more powerful, which was added later. And that line was, "Wherever I am, God is." And so Bob and I are going to say that prayer in a moment. We want you to join with us from your home. But these are very powerful words that were used to assuage the fear of World War II. I believe the astronauts even took that prayer to the moon. And let's, as we, sometimes when we say words that we say every week, they become words that are rote. And I don't mean W-R-O-T-E, I mean R-O-T-E. Words that we just say. So let us again just kind of sit down in our chair. Take a deep breath and let's really feel these words as we say them. Feel them going through our body, into our heart, into our mind. We're virtually connecting with each and every one of you as we say this prayer together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well now. So I think that's going to wrap us up for today.
Absolutely, and thank you for tuning in. And you'll be able to also go on to our Facebook page on Unity Burbank and watch this again if you didn't get a chance to see it, or if you want to pass it on to somebody else. Please feel free to look at it and share it with others. Share it with others that may not know about Unity Burbank. And if we've touched you a little bit, maybe you can send that on so that other people can have an experience.
And we are here for you. That's the main.
Absolutely.
That's the main message.
Absolutely.
And as we chart these waters, we are figuring out ways to connect with you, even to make even a stronger connection than we feel we already have. But again, thank you so much for joining us. You have a blessed day and a blessed week. Stay safe.
God bless.
Amen. I think that went well, Bob.
I think so.
I didn't get you anywhere near all my liquids.
Well, you know what? We actually did pretty